Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, everybody. How are you on this beautiful Tuesday? I'm going to say Wednesday, a beautiful Tuesday. I'm kind of getting lost myself. I am again reporting from location here in Albuquerque, New Mexico, from the home of my father, Mr. Clifford Moss Jr., using his office. So we won't be here long. So, brothers and sisters, I hope that you're having a great day. Today, I thought we'd take a 180 approach on a lot of stuff that we're seeing in the news, and a 180 approach in terms of how we approach current events and also things that affect us at the local level, at the personal level, spiritual level, emotional level. And it has a lot to do with this whole idea of what is the new normal now. Going through COVID and heading into year 2 of COVID, it's interesting and it's obvious that a lot of us had answers for things that just didn't come through. When I say answers for things that didn't come through, we had plans. We made plans. We thought and we legislated and we pontificated that these things would be over, brothers and sisters. And now we have a scenario, a situation whereby we find ourselves having to not so much look the other way, but look at things differently. You know, there's a great, we live through these things, all things considered. Well, you know what? We don't know all the things. We don't know all the things. It's a saying, and we say things like, the best we could do. We don't really know what the best we could do is. Because a lot of times we are, for lack of a better word, we're reporting from our own imaginations what we can do. Clearly, and deferring to the fact that we can't control things out of our own space. So today, I thought it'd be interesting to talk about the new normal. And the new normal is we have to put a much more calculated valuation on the unexpected. Things that happen. And it's not the things that happen. These things have been happening for a while. But clearly in the last 2 years, we find ourselves in a situation whereby we can't control these things. I hate to refer to COVID as a wake-up call. It's not a wake-up call. What it was a reminder, if you will, that even our best scenarios, our best medicines, our best doctors, our best strategic people, our best point folks, our best transition specialists, still in this situation, they couldn't beat COVID. Now, there's a lot of geopolitical implications, there's financial implications, and we can talk about that. But I'm going to talk about the fact that there's been a paradigm shift. And many of us are a part of that paradigm shift. We're finding that the deal these days is not so much how well you plan, but it's more so, can you pivot? Can you make the U-turn where appropriate? Can you do a slalom where it's needed? Whereby the best laid plans are just that, they're laid plans. We say in this religion, we say Allah is the best of planners. And I think sometimes we say it haphazardly. We say Allah is the best of planners. But you know what? We plan. We plan hard. We have things like Planned Parenthood. We have guide plan. We have all kinds of plans. And we have all these strategic narratives that have been out there for years. But, brothers and sisters, there's a new normal having to do with dealing with the unexpected. The fact that at the top levels, the people who plan the most, the people who are the most strategic, politicians, military people, they found that the planning was just as good as the ability to deal with the unexpected. All right? So on the shout-out show today, we're going to jump on that today. I want to thank people for tuning in. I want to again give a big shout-out to the Moss family for providing this house, this office where I can do my show. And I also want to make sure we give a shout-out to Imam Muhammad in Columbus, who lost his life. We also had 2 fatalities up in Minnesota, Muslim brother and his daughter. You can go on Launch Good. They were murdered inside of their house. It's terrible things. And of course, we want to go ahead and send out our greetings and also our well wishes and prayers to those who are sick and shut in. We appreciate you and thank you so much for tuning in to the show. Okay, so I'm going to get ready because we have some big news as well. And it's not all gloom and gloom. It's not all of that. And I'm going to talk a little bit about how sometimes, not so much planning, but planning for the unexpected. Being in a position, if you will, or formulating understanding about the unexpected. We're going to talk about that. I'm Preacher Monster. This is the Shout Out Show. Let's go ahead and get it rolling. Satana, hit me. Hey, Satana doing a little editing there. It's all right. I want to give a shout out to our newest sponsor, USHub. Let me tell you a little bit about USHub. USHub has the wherewithal and they have the chutzpah and they have the organizational structure, brothers and sisters, to bring you a new streaming service that is featuring Muslim titles. Not just Muslim titles, Muslim documentaries, Muslim comedies, and even more so, guess what? Inshallah, we might even have a little collaboration with myself and USHub in terms of doing something like we do on the Shout Out Show. And I hope that if that happens, brothers and sisters, I can count on you to meet me on the USHub platform. We're still going to do the Shout Out Show. I can't cheat you because we love you guys like that. But that's USHub. We're going to run, I had the other ad, so please forgive me. There was a glitch in the computer. It happens sometimes. But we're going to run those trailers. And we're going to welcome the USHub family to the Shout Out Show. Okay, so we have a wide-ranging topic today. So what I want to do is make sure that I give everybody their flowers before I get into this topic. Because, you know, once I get into the topic, I can go for a while. And you guys are so kind and not interrupting me. So what I like to do is let's give some flowers out, Satana. Who we have in the chat room today? We got Sister Reed saying, hello, family. Hello to you, Sister Reed. We hope that you are doing well. And again, peace and blessings. Thank you so much for that Christmas meal. It was amazing. That turkey was fabulous. I'm here to tell you, you outdid yourself. Peace and blessings to Derek and Juwan in that house, and give them my best. Next up, my main man, Altaf Rashid, all the way from Toronto, Canada. One of my favorite places to visit. Altaf, Mr. 6 o'clock, straight up, straight down. Always here on the Shout Out Show, brothers and sisters, just like Sister Reed. We have a lot of other 6 o'clock, straight up, 6 down as well. But Altaf tunes in from Canada to check us out. He is the official Canadian ambassador to the Shout Out Show. Altaf, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Appreciate you, sir. Thank you so much for coming on the show. And we hope that this is a good show for you and we made your trip worthwhile. Next up, and we have Sister Salahuddin Dalton. What's going on, Sister Salahuddin? Miss Dalton, we appreciate you coming on the show. We hope that the title today will resonate with you and people like yourself, creatives and people like yourself. I really, I'm going to give a little background for it, but it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense, and I hadn't really tied into everything. You know, I try to look at stuff and then I kind of look at what my process is, and it was really interesting what I came up with. Again, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to Salahuddin family. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Appreciate you. Next up, what's going on, my main man Isam, who is a newlywed, brothers and sisters. Isam got married. Alhamdulillah. Isam, we are so happy for you and your bride. Thank you so much for popping on the show. He's like my brother, man. Love you too, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Big ups to you, man, and your new journey, your new pathway to happiness with your wife. We appreciate it, man. Congrats to you. I know you bounce back, brother. I love it. You bounce back. I always told you. It's not like nothing like coming back strong. Let me say. Driving through Texas as we speak on the way to Kentucky for a new beginning. Please don't tell me you're moving to Kentucky now. Tell me you visiting Kentucky. Don't move to Kentucky. I know love is bliss, but don't lose your doggone mind. Don't move to Kentucky. I have to call you about that. They just had a hurricane, a tornado in Kentucky. You ain't reading the news, brother. Well, if it's still there, if parts of it's still there, hopefully you find happiness in Kentucky. All right. And we got my brother, my main man, Leon Alexander, who is my homie. Can you say from when? From across the street. Musician extraordinaire, drummer extraordinaire, percussionist. Let me say not drummer. I am short-sighted. He is a percussionist, a composer. This brother does it all, movie scores. And he lent his artistic beauty and talent to the Love Supreme Anatomy of Gratitude comedy special, which, brothers and sisters, is now streaming on USHub. So if you go to ushub.tv, you will see the Love Supreme Anatomy of Gratitude, and you can see myself, Brother Leon, and Brother Tariq Mateen tearing it up. It was quite a night, man. Peace and blessings to you, Leon, and a big shout out to Big Leon too as well. Give him my love. Good to see you on the show, Op. Thanks so much. Next up, we got Sister Zatanna working the control booth. Sister Zatanna, you had me on screen when the commercial was going, but it's all right. We'll talk about that. Yeah, I know you're a little under the weather. Sister Zatanna, I'm messing with you. Thank you so much for holding this down. As always, we appreciate you. So let's go ahead and get to work. Sister Zatanna, let's get to work. The new normal of things being unexpected. Here's what I'm talking about, brothers and sisters. I was beginning to talk about my process. Now, let me give you a little bit of background. I live discipline. I breathe discipline. I like the whole idea of A to B to C to E to F to G. That was me for a lot of years. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That was me for a lot of years. I was a very linear guy. It had to fit the way it was supposed to fit in order. And then as you become more of a creative, if you will, things don't necessarily have to fit. You become accustomed to there being space in between things. There's synapses, if you will, in between things, and you trust that the synapses will fill in accordingly so you can make logic out of the situation. And then comes the space whereby we get into forecasting. Now, let me say something about forecasting. Here's the thing that I've learned over the years. When I would forecast, it came with the whole idea that there had to be a particular ending for the forecast. Let me say it again. There had to be a particular ending for the forecast. So the forecast kind of fell over into a prediction. Forecasting is different than a prediction. Forecasting is looking at the elements, if you will, looking at the elements, what's in a room, what's in a situation, where's the beginning, a potential middle, a potential end. Prediction is, I believe it's going to come out this way. I moved back from the prediction business and learned in some regards to place more value in the forecasting business, looking at the pieces and the components of something that have potential to be something, that have potential to be a cure, potential to be an illness, a potential of life, death, everything in between. And I looked at that became the premise of understanding and appreciating more so the unexpected. Now, why am I saying that? Because for the last couple of years, America in particular, the United States in particular, has suffered, brothers and sisters, because they have not been prepared for the unexpected. I'm not just talking about COVID. I'm talking about the last election. I'm even going back to when Obama was elected. A large portion of America was not prepared for him to be president, number one, and definitely not prepared for him to be reelected. And then we got Trump. And Trump's situation was different because at least with Obama, we had this idea that he had a moral compass. He had a center that if things really got bad, we knew there was something that would draw him back to the Constitution, draw him back to the Declaration of Independence, draw him back to law, if you will, draw him back to religion. He was that guy. Then we got Trump, who was a deeply flawed individual. And what happened was we didn't actually expect for him to be president. He became president, and we've been dealing with the unexpected for this guy He's not even president now. We still deal with the unexpected nature of his actions. So where does this come from? Because in America, we always talk about this American exceptionalism. This is one of it. This is one of the things I'm really speaking of. And it's the idea that constantly, not America, but Americans have a huge draw on the idea of being right, or being able to predict that something's going to happen, or to be, in some regards, to be able to manufacture a particular response, particular result. But what has happened, I want to say in the last 18 months, is America's gotten really, really bad at it. When I say really, really bad at it, it's not it got bad at it, but the skew of the problems that we deal with, the ability to sit in a room or sit in front of people and communicate that I made a mistake has become a huge chasm now. As we say, the scholars used to say, I'm right with the possibility of you being wrong, or you're right with the possibility of me being wrong. But there's a possibility. And that's a part of the forecasting. We talk about possibility, probability, and then you move to prediction. But we're going to pull away from that. Military school, for me, brought home a couple things. When I went to St. John's, I had to take this course for 4 years called military science. And they taught you military science, and you learned about measurements and strategies, and it is what it sounds like. They were training us to be soldiers. Obviously, I did not turn out to be a good soldier. But it was heavily built upon the collection of data and being able to successfully predict behavior. Meaning, I'm going to do A. When I do A, B will happen. And even more so, brothers and sisters, we have these things called war games, if you will. And when I say war games, I mean we have people who simulate wars. It's a big thing. The Rand Corporation in the United States, here in Virginia, and they have one out in California. They simulate things, everything from war to famine to, you see what I'm talking about. And it's okay, I guess, that people spend their time on that. But here's the thing, though. It's not so much playing with safe games. It's playing games with things that should be sacred. So when we talk about COVID, perchance, the issue with COVID, as opposed to other countries, check this out, is that they leaned on artificial intelligence with our medicine, with vaccinations. They leaned on artificial intelligence. And that artificial intelligence has been around for years. We're talking about algorithms. We're talking about formulas. We're talking about all these. They've been around for years, and they're embedded in our culture. They are 100% embedded in our culture. We have become lazy to artificial intelligence, brothers and sisters. And that new normal is not that we don't know the possibility of things. It's that we don't know the possibility of things beyond the intelligence that's given to us. Case in point, we talk about algorithms. We have the housing crash and things like that. These are prime examples of what happens when human beings and artificial intelligence get together and their plans don't work. They don't have backup plans to deal with the unexpected. Here in the United States, we'll talk about voting, we'll talk about COVID, but let me give you guys some things to think about both of them. In other countries, I figured this out. In other countries like China, the COVID numbers were down in China. I mean, they're going over to Omicron, but whose numbers aren't? But here's the thing that China had that the United States did not have. Hear me now. That when China went after COVID aggressively to deal with COVID with the people that they had over there in Wuhan, this is what they had that the United States did not have. They had a shared culture. They had a shared narrative, if you will. And that shared narrative allowed them to realistically look at things that were unexpected. You know, if everybody's in a boat and the boat's going downstream, there's certain things can happen. The boat can get you where it's going to go. It can sink, you can drown, da 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 da. But you know what? Until it happens, it's unexpected. Here in the United States, in the last 4 years, 5 years, if you will, we've had an ongoing onslaught to make sure that here in the United States, we do not have shared culture anymore. We don't have shared culture around voting. We don't have shared culture around equity. We don't have shared culture around religion. We don't have shared culture around finance. We don't have shared culture around education. We don't have shared culture around housing. We don't have shared culture around purchasing. We don't have shared culture around rehabilitation, religion. Nothing, brothers and sisters, is a situation of shared culture. Thus, when vaccines go places, they go to places where the people, pockets of people, they share their culture. When money comes down, that's a big one. It goes to people who have shared culture. That shared culture, that money goes to the rich. That's a culture. And over and over and over, the repetitiveness is now that it's become normal. Now let me throw this in here, because the whole idea of a new normal is that we begin to ask the questions, what are the parameters? What are the ways that you in some way can deal with that? One of the things is understanding that every action has an epic beginning. It has a wherefore, a why. Not who did it, why you did it. It's essentially it happened. Away from trying to point fingers and things like that, the whole idea, the conception of something happened that has presence and we have to deal with it, is something that I believe is really, really important. I talk about forecasting, and the reason I keep talking about forecasting, it allows me to not have as much bias as I would in terms of prediction. Like, I will look at certain things, efforts, actions, and I can say, well, I'm not saying that will happen or that won't happen, but I look at the individual agents in the situation. I try the best I can to evaluate something. So if it's a gun and a bullet, yeah, you can say somebody's going to take the gun, put the bullet in, and fire it. But then I look at the gun and I say, well, that gun has a handle. The gun is a revolver. The gun has a bullet that has to be put in this way. And you look at all the protocols to make that action possible. And in that space, you can find workability. You can find ways to say, you know what? Maybe if this happens, this won't happen. Maybe if this is said, we can per se, in some of them, change the outcome. Not predict the outcome, change the outcome. And that changing the outcome is not so much I'm trying to get to the end. I'm merely accepting and putting a high evaluation on the unexpected, because that's where it starts. Okay. So let me throw this out here, and anybody can feel free to jump in. The next couple of years, 2 years, people are talking about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency and things like that. You still have to have a fiat dollar. You have to have a fiat economy. That's not necessarily going away anyplace, because guess what? If you did away with the dollar, everybody doesn't have access to Bitcoin. Like, everybody doesn't have access to a computer, which is essential to be able to be a part of a Bitcoin economy. Am I saying that the dollar is going to go away? No. I'm saying let's look at the conditions of what could happen if it could go away. Let's talk about COVID. COVID is unexpected because why? We have different variants. We had a COVID-19, we had a Delta, we had an Omicron. Is it any surprise to people that we keep having these new mutations? A mutation tells you that what? what you thought, like Fat Joe says, yesterday's price is not today's price. Well, guess what? Yesterday's virus is not today's virus. And all you can do is take that space of, like I said, dealing with the unexpected and develop a protocol. Develop a go-to plan that says, I may not be able to figure everything out, but here are the basic things that we're going to do. When you talk about the rollout to help people with COVID-19, the education was missing. The honesty was missing. The idea that people mattered, and the failure to take this whole virus and present it to the United States that we had a shared culture. That shared culture was around health, protecting the elderly, protecting the children, wash your hands, social distancing, wear your mask. But somehow it got lost. And the reason it got lost is because people, when they are not adept at dealing with unexpected things, they panic. They panic every time. And the panic leads to these crises in leadership. You know what I mean? And I'm looking at it and I'm like, why? I'm particularly African Americans, Latinos, we are spawned from culture that has to deal with the unexpected all the time. You can't trust the law. At one point in time, you couldn't trust the law. You couldn't trust the vote because the law wasn't there for you and you couldn't vote. What do you think our ancestors did in these slave plantations? Every day they dealt with the unexpected. I can't fathom the mental capacity and strength that they had to deal with. This is coming from Africa, Middle Passage. This is raising families in the midst of this not knowing, constantly not knowing. And all praise is due to them in that space, in that psychosis of constantly not knowing. They developed infrastructure. And the infrastructure was just malleable enough to deal with what? The unexpected. Now here's the deal now. Since we're talking about the unexpected. All unexpected is not negative, okay? You can't have good things happen that are unexpected. See, I had to throw that in there because some people are like, oh my gosh, it's so bad. It's not so bad. Sometimes things happen that are good, they're unexpected. But this is a part of life. It's a part of life. We live in a continuum of you don't know. You don't know. You've heard me say this quote. I just said my dad says this thing all the time. Ain't nobody gonna get out here alive. Well, guess what? When you go, it's not like you expected. It's built on a continuum of the unexpected. So if life is giving us these clues, brothers and sisters, why are we not picking up the clues? Why are we not reframing our thought, beginning to say, wait a minute, let's look at the evidence around us and come up with our own conclusions, build our own models, frame our own infrastructure. Literally, let's develop our own intelligentsia in terms of how we want to look at a problem, as opposed to following the lead of people who continually panic. So listen, I'm going to get out of here. You guys have been great. And I just want you to think about this just a little bit. Just think about it a little bit. What we talked about. The new normal of the unexpected. I'm happy every day I wake up. I don't know what's going to happen. I used to be very, very anal about that. But I wake up in the morning and I start with the fact I'm happy to be living. The rest of it, I just have to experience. The rest of it, I just have to go through and say, hey, outside of my space, my specter, I can't control anything. And appreciate it. Appreciate that. Frame it as something as a bit of a mantra, a bit of an affirmation that you are still surviving despite the fact you wake up every day and things are unexpected. Sorry about that. So listen, I'm gonna get out of here. Let me go ahead and get to our folks. Wa alaikum assalam rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. JT, how you doing, brother? Good to see you on the show as always. Appreciate you. Satana, we have anybody else? We got Eric, better known as Carter. Wa alaikum assalam rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, beloved. Appreciate you coming on the show. Thank you guys for your patience. So listen, start thinking about this new normal of the unexpected. It will liberate your mind. Trust me. It will liberate your mind. Okay, so let's go ahead to the wrap up. Let's shout out our sponsors. We want to give a shout out to, of course, BeFinanciallyIndependent.com. Again, that's BeFinanciallyIndependent.com. You can call or you can pick up the phone and call 202-508-3780. Again, that's 202-508-3780. BeFinanciallyIndependent.com. If you're thinking about a quality graduate level education, brothers and sisters, you got to check out Bayan Islamic Graduate School. Again, that's Bayan Islamic Graduate School. Don't wait. Run, don't walk. Go to your computer and check out bayanonline.org. Again, that's bayanonline.org, offering programs in Islamic leadership, Islamic studies, Islamic education, and one of the best programs, a Master of Divinity with a focus in Muslim chaplaincy. You got to check it out. All right. Thank you so much. And we also want to give a shout out. We know our guy is busy. Shout out to Ijaz Saeed, who is the director of Convenient Urgent Care, who find themselves extremely busy right now. And I'm going to tell everybody in the city of Houston, if you are not feeling well, go get yourself a COVID test. You can go to www.convenienturgent.com. Again, that's www.convenienturgent.com. 3 locations in the Houston area: Cypress, Pasadena, and Houston on Parker Road. And I want to give a shout out to our newest supporter, and I'm looking forward to doing big things with them. We'll be talking about that moving forward. Thank you so much, Satana, on top of the game. You can go to USHub.tv. Again, that's USHub.tv. If you're tired of giving your money to Netflix and you can't see anything that's halal or representative of your culture, your lifestyle, your beliefs, go to USHub.tv. And I'm going to say this about USHub. They're doing it right. They're going to be surprising a lot of people, brothers and sisters. This could be the new or the halal remedy for a lot of things in Muslim entertainment. And I also believe this could be the pathway for the legitimacy and the valuation, the power and the growth of Muslim entertainment, halal entertainment. So keep your eye on USHub.tv. You know what time it is. Preacher Moss, I'm out of here. God bless. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. You're from Albuquerque. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Well, team, we've come to the end of yet another show. And I have to say, I had a good time, and I hope that you had a good time as well. Listen, at this part of the show, we have no more show. I could literally sing a song saying we have no more show. However, to spare all of us that embarrassment and chaos, I'm just going to say, please join us tomorrow here on the Shout Out Show, Monday through Thursdays, and every first Saturday, we do our Saturday Spotlight. Here we are again, 5 to 5:30 on the Central Time. And of course, we're going to do our rebroadcasts at 8 o'clock Central, 9 o'clock p.m. And of course, that would be 6 o'clock on the West Coast. So, time for you to go, because it's time for me to go. I think I will do that song. Thank you for coming to the show. Thank you for coming to the show. That's all the lyrics I wrote. But you get the idea. See you tomorrow. Assalamu alaikum. Shout out.